Hey everybody, this is Peter with Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today I'm coming to you with a board game review. We recently received Bossin Space, produced by Albi Studios and designed by Peter and Yenrich. It is a 1 to 5 player game with a very kind of a retro look back on the 80s arcade games, where you are controlling a single ship going back and forth across the board, and you are protecting your threshold from alien forces, whether that be protecting Earth or just a portion of outer space. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to be moving this ship back and forth across that border, and you're protecting it against the alien forces that continue to barrage you and fire at you. So like I said, it's 1 to 5 player. It's a co-op game. So you're going to be working together to control this single ship as it traverses back and forth across its border, stopping the alien horde. So we're going to go ahead and take the camera down to the table, show you all the pieces that come with the game, tell you a little bit about how it plays, and then we'll come back up afterwards, tell you my final thoughts on the game. So let's go ahead to the table and take a look. All right, everybody. So here we are down at the table now, and this is everything that comes with Bossin Space. And again, you're going to be playing a game where you are moving your ship here along this bottom row of the board, and you're going to be fighting off the alien hordes. And the alien hordes are going to be made up of decks 1, 2, and 3. And you will have a boss monster at the end of the game. Each game is going to be a different boss alien, and there are 5 of them. So you have this one here, and its standee, its deck here, and stand. So each one of these boss aliens has its own deck of cards and its own standee. And then we have a little plastic stand here that we can utilize to keep the standee standing upright. So what you're going to be doing is, depending on how many players you have at the table, you are going to utilize so many cards from the level 1 experience alien cards, level 2 experience cards, and level 3 experience alien cards. You'll take so many from each of those decks, and you'll stack them with the 3s on the bottom, the 2s above them, and the 1s at the very top. And at the very bottom of the deck, underneath the level 3 experience cards, you'll have a single boss monster. So you'll use the boss monster card, and then you'll set aside its deck of cards, because you'll be using those later in the game. Once you have your enemy deck created, so you have your boss monster on the bottom, you have your level 3 cards, your level 2 cards, and your level 1 cards, those make up your enemy deck. And you're going to be making your way through all of those cards as you try to defeat each of those aliens, as they're starting at the top row of this board and they're moving their way down. If an alien ever crosses this red line here into your row, then your ship will take the appropriate amount of damage, and then that alien goes off the board. It gets discarded. If you ever defeat an alien while it's up here in the top 3 rows, then you earn that much experience points for defeating it, and you discard that alien card. So your goal is try to defeat as many of the aliens as you can up here, hoping to take as little damage as possible, and you'll be keeping track of the damage and your experience points and all those other things with your ship upgrade mat. And you can see here that when you start to play, you're going to have 3 health indicated by these 3 heart tokens that sit here on this space. If you're to ever take damage, you'll then flip the hearts over to indicate that you've taken damage. And there are ways to get some of your health back for your ship. And then there are also ways to upgrade your ship, but we'll talk about that in just a second. The other important things that you have here is, if you are playing a game with multiple players, you will be using the crew deck here. There are, I believe, 5 of them, because it can be played up to 5 players. And each of these crew members are going to give you extra abilities that they can utilize when it's their turn. If you are playing a solo play game like I did, you will not be using any of these cards. And so you don't have these abilities to choose from when that player is taking their turn. You also over here have your command deck. There are 2 of those. They look exactly the same. Again, this is one quibble that I have with this game, is that none of these decks indicate with any words what the decks are. So these at least have some numbers, and then these have these two symbols, but they're the exact same symbol. This is your commander deck, and this is your advanced commander deck. And the only way to tell the difference between the two is on the cards in the advanced commander deck. They do have these 3 arrows on top of each other in the upper right-hand corner of the cards, whereas the regular cards in the regular command deck do not have those symbols there. So you'll just have to make sure to separate those out when the game tells you to during setup, in case you end up needing to use the advanced commander deck. It would have been nice, though, if they had put, command deck, advanced command deck somewhere on these cards to indicate their difference rather than just a small icon. But it's there and you can still utilize it. Then you have your danger deck, and your danger deck is going to be a big part of the game. And it comes with a 12 card danger deck for a normal play of Bossin Space. But if you want to make the game a little bit easier or a little bit harder or extremely hard, they have these 3 extra decks that you can add into the game. At the bottom of your regular deck, you'll see down here that there's this triangle, and this triangle kind of space is empty. It's just blank. So that means this is part of your regular danger deck, 12 cards in here. And then if you would like to play an easier game of Bossin Space, you can pull out the cards that have the green laser gun down in that triangular spot. And that green laser gun indicates that this is an easier game of Bossin Space. Each one of these is going to have a benefit for your ship, or for your ship. So either you're going to be able to regain some health possibly, or you're going to be able to gain some extra XP as you play the game, helping you to upgrade your ship a little bit more quickly. If you want to play a slightly harder game, then you're going to get the cards out that have the white laser gun down at the bottom that has just a single. It's really hard to see because it's really small. Again, this is my one thing that I don't love about this game, is that these cards do not indicate with words in any way what they are, but a white gun with just a single laser coming out of the gun. This is going to be a slightly harder game. And if you want to play an extremely hard game of Bossin Space, which I can't even imagine trying that at this point, then you're going to look for the cards that have the white gun with multiple lasers coming out of the gun itself. And again, each of these decks is very small. It's just an extra 4 cards that you would add into the game. But as you add those in, it's going to make the game a little bit more difficult, unless you're adding the easier deck, which I appreciate that they gave an easier deck. So you get multiple ways of playing the game. You get easy, normal, hard, or extremely hard to play this game. But that is your danger deck, and you'll be utilizing the danger deck and your command cards to make what they call the timeline of the game. And this is really where the majority of the game lies, is in the timeline. And so I'm going to show you real quick how you would end up making your timeline. You're not going to do this on the board. You're usually going to do it somewhere off to the side. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and make the timeline right here on the board. Your timeline is only ever going to be 4 cards. You're going to end up using 4 command cards, and that's for you indicating what you will be doing, what your ship will be doing during the game, during the round. And then there's the danger cards, and they're going to indicate what the aliens are going to be doing on their turn. So on a regular turn, you're going to go ahead and flip over 4 danger cards. And then if you're playing a solo mode of the game, which is what I did, then you're going to draw 3 of these command cards. And from those 3, you're going to choose 2 to play. And you can see here that in the command cards, you're going to get cards that allow you to move your ship from one side to another, possibly. So I would take 2 of these to play. And for right now, I'm just going to lay them down here, even though this is not probably where I would choose to play the card. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw 4 command cards and choose 2 more to play. And you can see on here that we have some more icons indicating as to what these cards are going to do. This right here is going to allow us to take one shot directly ahead of us in whichever column we are in, shooting upwards at whichever alien is above us and doing 1 damage. So that's indicated by the 1 star in the upper left of the card. We also have here a portal card, and this is going to allow us to shoot a portal gun at 1 alien straight ahead of us or anywhere on the board and move them 1 adjacent column, either to the left or to the right. And the way this game works is as well that column 4 and column 1 are not adjacent to each other. So you can't wrap around the board. You can't take somebody from 4 to 1 or from 1 to 4. It only goes these 2 ways. So we have those. And I would just take 2 more of these cards, choosing what I want to use. And then in a solo play, I take these cards and I organize them from left to right, which one I want to happen first. So if I want to move my ship to the next column to the right, I would have this card or this card. If I wanted to take a shot at one of the aliens, I would utilize this card. And if I wanted to move one of the aliens to another location, I could utilize this card as well. But the way the timeline works then is you're going to use your little indicator and you're going to put it on the bottom left card in the timeline. So you have you have a total of 8 cards in the timeline. You have the 4 alien cards and you have the 4 commander cards. And then you're going to take this action first. And then you're going to let the aliens take their turn up here. This card would indicate that all the aliens in columns 2, 3, and 4 fire directly down. And if your ship happens to be in one of those 3 columns, you would take damage. Then I would take my next turn down here in the command row and then go back up to the alien row. This card is completely blank, which indicates that nothing happens. You get a bit of respite on that turn. Next, I would get to fire my shot, 1 shot again, forward up that column. And then this card here indicates that the alien closest to you in column 4 is then going to move adjacent to the next column. So from 4 to 3, it's not coming forward, it's just going sideways from column 4 to column 3. Then we could use our portal gun, and then we would finish on the 8th card, which is again another one where all the aliens in rows 2 and 3 then take their shot down their columns. And if you happen to be in column 2 or 3, then you would take the appropriate damage from those. And each of the alien cards shows on it with these little teeny like damage symbols, these little teeny stars up at the top left, or you could see them up here on the boss cards as well, how much damage they do. If there's just 1 burst symbol, then you're going to take 1 damage. If there's 2 burst symbols, you're going to take 2 damage, and so forth. But that is how the timeline works. And once you get to the end of the last alien card in the alien row, then you're going to go ahead and put all the danger cards in a danger discard pile. No, actually, you can leave the danger cards here because then you're going to put the next danger cards just on top of those. But you're going to remove the commander cards from the commander row, and you're going to end up playing 4 more against the next 4 danger cards. Again, like I said, if you're playing just a normal game, then there's only 12 of these danger cards. And you're going to quickly get to know like what cards are in that danger deck. And then that will change though as you continue to play, if you add in the easy mode or the normal mode, hard mode, or extremely hard. But you'll see that there are cards of all differing kinds. There are cards that allow the aliens to move from their columns. And there are these cards as well. The one that has the white alien at the top and all 4 columns are lit up, that indicates that all aliens will move forward 1 column, down through the board, down to the next row. So if they had, if you had aliens in all the top row up here, you would move all of those down, and then that top row is filled with 4 more aliens. And that is the mechanic that allows the aliens to get closer to your ship, closer to passing your boundary and causing damage to your ship. This card here indicates that any alien cards that have this lightning bolt on it, which causes a special ability to take place, would take place. So whenever this card is played, then you have to go from the top left of your board and look at each alien card, see if it has one of these lightning symbols. If it does, then you see what does the icon say is going to happen, and then you do it. If you're like me, you're going to constantly be referring back to your rules book so that you can see exactly what icon indicates what. But there are things that are like, the ship fires a bunch of shots and then explodes or goes away, and you get to discard that alien. Or there are ones that allow it to do all sorts of different things like movement and different things like that. So if you would ever get one of these movement cards that allow the alien to move from one column to the next, if there's an alien directly to the right of it, then you're going to bring it down one row and over a column. So you're still going to get to move that alien over a column, but you're going to be bringing it closer to you. So that is one of the mechanics that also allows the aliens to get closer to you, besides just this white card. If you would ever have, if it ever indicates that you would move an alien from column 1 to column 2, or vice versa from 2 to 1, any of those, but you don't have an alien in that starter row, then you bring in a new alien from your enemy deck to that row, and then you do its maneuver. So you don't just get away with it on that turn. If there's not an alien in that column, you bring one in and you have it do that movement as well. So those are most of the cards that you're going to run into in the danger deck. There are a few more cards that we've not shown off yet from the commander deck, and I'm just going to indicate again those. So we have the one that allows us to make a single shot up our column. We have our movement cards. This is going to allow us to do a double move to the right, whereas this allows us to do a single move to the right. And then we also have, single moves to the left. And then we have regaining health for our ship. We can regain health. Let's see what else we have. We have our missile card, which is going to allow us to fire a single missile to anywhere on the board, but it would fire whichever column you choose. It's going to hit the first alien in that column closest to your ship. So you can't just choose to fire all the way up to the top row of column 4 if there is an alien in below that one in row 3 here. You would have to go to that one first and then up there. But again, that's a single missile that you're firing. But you do see over here on your ship that there are upgrades that can happen. And the upgrades are to your missiles, to your lasers, and to your commander cards. And we'll get to that in a bit, but that's going to allow you to fire more missiles or fire more damage from your laser gun and so on. And then there is a way to gain more health for your cards as well. So other than the missile, you also have the EMP. The EMP card is going to allow you to, wherever you place it here in the commander row, is going to allow you to negate the alien card after it. So if we had wanted to stop the aliens from adding more aliens to the board, and we had the EMP card, we could play the EMP card here. And once it had its turn, then this card, since it's next, would not actually happen. So the EMP allows you to negate one of the alien's abilities in the alien row. And then there is also your laser gun. So the laser gun is pretty powerful. It does 2 damage. It's the only damaging card in the deck that allows you to do 2 damage right out of the gate. And what it will do is it will fire a single laser straight up the column and does 2 damage. If the alien right in front of you only has one health, Then you would fire through that, killing it, and then also doing damage to the alien above it. If that alien also can only take 1 damage, then you would destroy both aliens and gain the XP from that. If, though, you would have an alien that you're fighting that happens to be able to take 2 damage, indicated here, up here at the heart, it says 2 inside of that heart there. If that was here and you had an alien that had just a single heart below it, then you would destroy this one and then damage this alien, but not destroy it. And because you did that, you could take one of these red heart damage indicators and lay it onto the alien card, reminding yourself that that alien has been damaged. The only type of aliens that you can't just destroy or damage are the aliens that happen to have shields on their cards. So right here, we can see that this card alien has a shield and a heart. So it can only take 1 hit before it is destroyed, but you have to actually be able to get through the shield to do that. So you would really have to do 2 damage in a row, 1 breaking through the shield and the other one taking out the heart. If you do not have enough to destroy the shield and the heart, then you don't get to put a single damage die on it or a damage token on it, because you have to be able to destroy it outright. The shield will continue to block until you can do the total amount of damage that you need to do, 1 to destroy the shield and 1 to destroy the heart. So that is one of the ways that the aliens can last a little bit longer in the game. You'll also see that on the alien cards, you'll see how much damage they do if they get to fire at you again by the burst, how much experience points they're worth here in the middle, and again, their hearts. And if they would have any of those lightning special abilities that I mentioned earlier, those would be down here on the bottom of the card. And again, you can refer back to the rules book to see what it is that they're doing. The experience points, like I was saying, those come into play because as you defeat the aliens, you're going to get to move this blue XP cube from the left to the right. And when that blue cube comes in contact with one of these yellow cubes, then you get to take the yellow cube and move it down here to the area where you can upgrade your ship. The first upgrade for the missile is that now you get to fire 2 missiles. The first upgrade for the laser gun is now you get to fire 3 damage from the laser gun. And then you get some ability here as well with your command cards and how you play those. Once you fill an entire column, then you open up and unlock the ability to give your ship more health. And you could do that leveling up here as well. At the beginning of the game, your ship will only have 3 health. So you can die fairly quick if you take too much damage right away. If you get down here and you get to fill in the extra health, then you get to add 1 of the extra health tokens to your ship. So you do have the ability to add a total of 5 health to your ship if you would end up filling these 2 columns completely and using the last 2 of your experience cubes down here in the heart spots. But that would also stop you from going all the way down either of the missile, the laser, or the card track, because there are only 8 experience cubes or leveling up cubes. So you kind of have to choose exactly where you want to put those. If you ever, if you wanted to get those missiles all the way up to 4, then all of a sudden you're going to stop yourself from being able to do both extra hearts. So you can never fill in the entire space for leveling up your ship. The last thing to know about the ship here as well, though, for the experience points, like I was saying, you would go, if you kill an alien that gives you 3 experience points, then you would go 1, 2, 3. You pick up the yellow cube, you place it where you want on your leveling up, and then you move the blue cube back to the beginning of the experience point track. So that's something really important to know, is your experience point doesn't stay up here. You go up, you level, and then you go back. And then you have to go up again till you get up there, and then you can level, and then you go back again. Now, if you ever would hit a leveling up cube and then you had still more experience, you would go ahead and continue to add that. So you'd go back to the beginning and add whatever left over you had experience. But each time you start at the beginning, going all the way up. So each time you level up, it takes a little bit longer. It's a little bit more difficult to get to the next leveling up cube. I do like that mechanic. I thought that was well thought out. If you're playing a 1 to 2 player game, your cubes are going to start here. If you're playing a game with 3 or more, then you're going to start your line here, leaving an empty space at the end. The last thing to know on your ship leveling up deck here is the overheat symbols. You do have the ability to overheat your ship. If your ship would ever overheat all the way to the end of the track, your ship explodes and you lose the game immediately. The way that you overheat your ship is when you use some specific cards. When you use the EMP card, you'll see at the top left here that it has kind of the red thermometer symbol with a +1. You're going to then move 1 level up the overheat track. If you use the laser gun, it also has the same symbol on the top left of the card. You're going to move your overheat symbol up 1 again. And if you use your missile card, it also has the exact same symbol with a +1. You're going to move that up the track 1 more round. Now, the way that you can cool down your engine is by, instead of utilizing one of your command cards in the command row for its ability, you can decide to skip it, leaving the card backside up like this. And that indicates that you're skipping that turn, you're skipping that card in that turn, and you can take your overheat track down 1. So that's the only way, really, I believe, to cool down your ship so that it doesn't explode. So you're going to have to take turns after utilizing some of these bigger cards for damage, bigger damage cards, to cool down your ship a little bit. Yeah, so that is quite a bit of the game there. You have your command decks, you have your advanced command decks, you have your danger cards, which you're going to use again for your timeline. That's going to be the danger cards and the command cards. I showed you how to set those up. And then, like I was saying earlier, you have your aliens who are differing levels of experience. So the level 1 cards are going to be fairly easy to defeat. This card here does 0 damage. Once you defeat it, it's going to get you 1 experience point, and it only takes 1 shot to kill it. So that's a very easy card. And they're going to be differing levels of difficulty in that first deck. This one does do 1 damage. Again, it only gives you 1 experience point, and it only takes 1 hit to kill it. Let's see if there's another one in here. Pretty much the same thing here. It does 1 damage, gives you 1 experience point, takes 1 hit to kill it, but this one does have that lightning bolt. And if the lightning bolt card would come up, then all of a sudden it gets to now move from its column to the adjacent column. And remember, if there's an alien right beside it in that column, then it goes up 1 row and over the column. So it just goes wherever it can go next in that column, never above it, but always below it. So you're going to have, and then you have some cards in that first level, though, that do 2 damage. And then also this one here, though, when it has its lightning bolt, it has a +1. It's immediately then going to give you an extra experience point. So there are some of these, which is a bit of an odd mechanic, but some of these where the aliens are actually going to give you some beneficial things rather than just all detrimental things. The level 2 cards are going to be a little bit more difficult. This one's special ability is it causes your ship to overheat a little bit more. Again, only 1 damage, but 2 experience points, and it takes 2 hits to kill it. This ship here has the special ability that it can fire 3 shots. It can fire down the column it's in, as well as the column to its left and the column to its right. But after it does its special ability, You then discard this card. You do not get the experience points if you did not destroy it. Anytime an alien leaves the board without you destroying it, you do not get the experience points. And then the cards, of course, in the third deck are a little bit more beefy, still only doing 1 damage. Going to give you 3 experience points if you defeat it. This one does have one of the shields on it. So if you just do 1 damage to it, that's not going to be enough, even though it only has the 1 heart. You have to hit the shield and then also hit the heart. So it's pretty much like it has 2 hearts. And if you shoot through another alien to hit this one once, you don't get to put that little damage die, the damage token on it. It has to be 2 shots at once. It also has the ability here that it's going to do 1 damage to your ship if the lightning symbol comes up in play. This one has the same lightning symbol where it gets to move in a column. This one has a lightning symbol where it does 1 damage to your ship, but then it gets discarded. So there are quite a few of those. And then this one here, not a lot of fun. Its ability is that it spawns an alien directly below it. So if you ever get this one, it's got the little alien with the little alien below it. It's a spawner. It will spawn another alien directly below it. So those are some of the aliens that you're going to come across. Again, at the beginning of the game, you are going to start on the board by putting your ship on this second column on the bottom row. And you're going to draw the first 4 aliens from your enemy deck. And they will start up here in the top row, 1 in each column, just like this. And then you create your timeline with those 4 danger cards and your 4 command cards, and you're going to play your way through that turn. At the end of that turn, you're going to put down 4 new danger cards and 4 more command cards and play through those. And you're just going to keep doing that as you slowly make your way through all the aliens. If you are lucky enough to get to the bottom of the deck and the boss comes out onto the board, you're going to put it on its standee and put it up here in one of these columns. Once the boss monster is out, you will not be filling the row behind it with any more alien cards. You will just be moving the boss slowly more and more forward as it gets the ability to move forward. When you get to the point that you have the boss on the board, there is a card for each boss that indicates how much health it has, how much damage it does. Some of the bosses do have the lightning bolt on them, giving them the lightning bolt ability. Only 2 of those do, the other 3 do not. One of them has a shield and does 2 damage and has 10 health. These 2 have just a single damage and 10 health. And these do single damage, and one has 8 health and one has 5 health. So there's levels of difficulty in the different bosses. But each boss has its own deck of cards, and this deck of cards is going to get played above the danger cards in the timeline. So once the boss hits the board, you'll actually have 3 rows in your timeline. The top row always being the 4 cards of your boss monster, and they go in the order that's indicated on the card itself. This one has a number 1, a number 2, a number 3, and a number 4. And then again, the row below it will be the regular 4 damage card or danger cards. And then the row beneath that will be your 4 command cards. So on that, you will go your command card, the danger row, and then the boss danger row. Then you'll go back down to your command row, the danger row, and then the next boss danger row. And you just keep going, same and same. If you get to the point that you run out of the aliens and all you have left is the boss, then you no longer fill that second row with your regular danger row. You just have the boss danger row. Again, I've played this game multiple times in solo mode. So far, I have not been able to get to this point. The farthest I did get was that the boss entered the battle, but then immediately I died. So yeah, it's an interesting game. I think the play is fun. I don't believe it's really solo mode, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that in my comments in the next section. So let's go ahead and come back up from the table, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Boss in Space. All right, everybody. So that is everything that comes in Bossin Space, how the game plays a little bit. So I have played this game now a few times. I've played only in the solo mode. So I wanted to let you all know that, because though this game does have a solo mode, like a lot of games do nowadays, because I think most designers understand that we can't always have those game nights where we have a bunch of people get together. So I think more games have been coming out recently with a solo player mode, and I appreciate that as somebody who plays a lot of solo games. But I think this game in particular is probably going to shine a little bit better at that at least 3-player table limit. I think if you can get at least 3 people to the table, even 2, it's going to shine a little bit better than the solo mode. The reason I say that is because a big portion of the game is the co-opness. It's the idea that you're going to each be getting your own secret hand of cards. You're going to be playing your card in secret, and then it's up to that round's captain to decide then which cards get played. But even then, you get to discuss it with one another, discuss which cards are probably going to be best played in the right situation and in which order. As a solo player, you're making all those decisions on your own, so it loses a little bit of that. And I love a co-op game. I love a good co-op game, and so I think this one is going to be a little bit more fun with that 2 to 3, maybe even 4-player count. 5 seems a little much for me. I think 4 is about as high up as you would want to go. But again, haven't played it at any of those counts other than the solo. So not 100% sure on that yet, but this is my best guess at this time. So it's okay at solo, but it wouldn't be the game that if you're looking for a solo game, this is probably not the game that I would recommend first. It is a game that has a solo mode, but it wouldn't be high up on my list of best games for solo players. But again, it's a really interesting game. I have my quibbles with the game, and I think the only thing that I really have with that is the cards that come with the game themselves. I personally would love cards that have a little bit of text to them. There's no text on any of these cards, and I've seen some videos that are on YouTube of the prototypes of this game, and in the prototypes they had the names of the different types of cards on the back of them, and I think that would have been nice. This version that we've received has no words on the cards themselves. It's all iconography. Even just if it was to say, enemy card, boss card, player character card, other than just having the image on both sides like they do in the game, just to help a first-time player who's looking at the rule book, trying to decipher which cards are which based on just images, really. It would be, I think, better if each of the cards on their back side had what that card was. If the command deck had a command deck, there's even advanced command cards, and there's only 6 of them. But rather than on the back of the card, it's saying advanced command cards and the other one's command cards, there's just a little icon, really, really small off to the upper right hand of the card that indicates that it's an advanced command card. And I think it would have been better if they could have put the names of the cards on the backs of them. There's plenty of space for it. It just seems like they chose not to. The components of the game are fine. You got a couple punch outs. Your ship upgrade card, I think, is pretty good. Nothing feels too flimsy. The board itself folds out just fine. So really, my only big quibble with the design of the pieces of the parts of this game is really the cards themselves, which is a big part of the game. It's not going to matter once you've really dived into the rules as much, because you're eventually going to figure it out. But if you're somebody who gives up pretty quick by trying to look at the rules and see what there are in the game, you might give up a little quicker on this game, because it's not as clearly denoted on the cards themselves what they are in the game. So that would be my biggest quibble. Other than that, the game plays fine. It's not the most engaging game for me, but again, I think that's because it wasn't really meant as a solo player game. I'm interested in looking forward to playing it at a higher player count and seeing what I think about it at that time. I'm definitely not giving up on this game. I'm going to give it a few more playthroughs, hopefully with some other players. Maybe some of the Tabletop Gaming Guild guys will play it with me. But yeah, so that is everything that was in the Bossin Space game. That's how it plays. Those are my final thoughts on it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We've got tons of video content for you guys to watch. We've got playthroughs, we've got reviews, and we do a lot of other stuff. So we check out game adjacent accessories, dice towers, and all those great things. So check it out. If you're interested in our podcast, you can go to tabletopgamingguild.com and you can listen to our podcast there, or you can listen to our podcast episodes on the YouTube channel or anywhere else that you listen to your podcast. You can type in tabletopgamingguild.com or Tabletop Gaming Guild, and we should be there. So thank you for watching, everybody. And until we talk again, keep on playing games.